we've already introduced the problematic.
Yes.
This idea that God foreknows.
Yep.
So we're thinking here maybe St. Thomas is relying upon Boethius, St. Severinus Boethius, who talks about eternity as the whole and simultaneous possession of endless life. Okay, so we just talked about human beings. We don't enjoy eternity. We live in time because we change. So we don't possess our lives wholly and entirely and in simultaneous fashion. We're coming to a gradual appreciation of who we are. We're coming to a gradual realization of our perfect identity, of our human maturity. And so we are developing, whereas God holds it all together in himself in one eternal now.
Right.
And so that seems to create problems as concerns causality.
Well, or actually that we might think that that's the solution to it. Well, of course, I suppose it might present. It looks like it presents problems, but actually it's a solution. So it's a feature, not a bug, for Thomas's account with Boethius. Right? Is that, well, look, we have freedoms. We're able to act in time and space in this particular way and make choices based upon, as we talked about, our own apparent goods and this a sense of what we see as good and how we choose. And God, if he foreknows us, if he sees that ahead of time, if he foreknows what we're going to do, then it seems like, well, how can that be true? Well, you could say his knowledge isn't perfect, but then God's not immutable and God's not omniscient. So you say, shoot, what is this? What about, how does he square this? But the eternity solution, Boethius comes up with, Thomas works this out in more detail, you could say, and adds a sort of layer to it through causality and such, is actually, in a sense, we're going to dissolve the problem. God doesn't have, strictly speaking, you could say, foreknowledge, right? Because God is not like an agent amongst us. He's not another super finite agent, according to the tradition, that mingles with us and kind of has to guess and play around with our causality and our choices, right? He creates all things. He stands outside of time. He creates space and time, such that even if he participates with it in a sense of engaging with us, interacting, you could say, it's always from a vantage point on his side of the table. And that's what Boethius says, well, that's the eternal now. So in a sense, for God, he sees all things, this is Boethius' solution, he sees all things as present. Mm-hmm. So there's no time index for God, because he's not a creature that develops across time, but rather someone who's outside of time, right? So he's all things are omnipresent to him. They're present to him at the exact same place. That means that insofar as God knows what I'm going to do tomorrow, it's not that he knows it before it's taking place, as if he's like watching it, he's got a preview in the video. But Boethius and Thomas's account with this is actually, he sees it all at the same time. So it's actually, there's no contradiction. The contradiction or the tension would be, I have truly free choices, but God knows ahead of time what I'm going to do. But notice, if you have this perspective of eternity with God on this, there's no ahead of time. There's only a question, can God know what I do?
Yep.
And that's a different, of course, it seems like if he's God, he can know what I can do. So therefore, it's no problem. The time indexing of foreknowledge with this. Now, there's other debates about how he works with our free will and causality in general, even the present.
Yep.
But the idea, at least for Thomas and Boethius, is that we don't have to worry about God knowing what we're going to do and yet us being free, because there isn't God knowing what we're going to do in the future tense from his side of things. That's us projecting our temporal sequence up to him. It's a nice attempt. It's a nice solution.
Father Bonaventure, if you had to choose between getting Warby Parker glasses, subscribing to a YouTube channel, or flossing your teeth, what would you choose?
Oof. I guess, to be honest, subscribing to a YouTube channel.
See, folks, it's not as bad as flossing your teeth or getting Warby Parker glasses. Please subscribe to Godsplaining. Cheers.